Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Lily's shocking pregnancy announcement has completely turned Genoa City on its head, leaving fans and characters alike in a whirlwind of speculation, suspicion, and emotional upheaval as they try to piece together the mystery of who the baby's father really is. Because while Lily Winters has always been seen as a beacon of resilience, intelligence, and grace in a town where betrayals and secrets run rampant, this particular twist in her storyline feels unlike anything we've seen in years. Especially considering the complicated history she carries with Cain Ashby, the trials and heartbreak that followed their tumultuous marriage, and the unexpected connections she's forged with other men in her life, which makes the revelation of her pregnancy not just a personal bombshell but also a social and emotional earthquake that could permanently reshape her future, her family, and her place in the broader Newman, Abbott, Chancellor, and Winters dynasties. The truth is that when Lily shared the news, her voice trembling between joy, fear, and uncertainty, the first immediate question wasn't whether she was happy, but rather how and when this happened. Because Lily has never been careless, she has always been someone who plans carefully and shoulders responsibility with dignity. So the fact that she now finds herself in such an uncertain position has opened the floodgates for rampant speculation that draws in multiple possible candidates for paternity, from Cain, her complicated ex who has never truly disappeared from her orbit, to Billy Abbott, with whom she shared undeniable chemistry during their Chancellor Winters power struggles, to even the shocking and scandalous possibility of a brief liaison with someone completely unexpected like Nate Hastings or Daniel Romalotti, both of whom have had emotional ties with Lily in different contexts, which raises the tantalizing possibility that this isn't just another typical soap pregnancy but rather a loaded narrative device that could ignite rivalries, resurrect buried passions, and tear families apart. Consider Cain for instance, because while Lily ended things with him after enduring lie upon lie, deception upon deception, there has always been a sense that their bond, however broken, might never fully dissolve, and with Cain resurfacing in subtle yet impactful ways, sometimes protective, sometimes manipulative, the possibility that Lily's baby could be his not only reopens wounds but forces her to confront whether she has truly moved on or whether some small part of her heart has always remained tied to him. Yet if the father is Billy Abbott, then the scandal intensifies tenfold, because Billy, already plagued by his own reputation as a reckless romantic and struggling leader, would be thrust into yet another messy entanglement that could compromise his role within Chancellor Winters, fracture his fragile peace with Chelsea, and create nuclear fallout with the Abbott family, especially since Jill Abbott would undoubtedly insert herself into the drama, demanding answers and questioning Lily's judgment, while Devon and Nate would find themselves caught between loyalty to family and the need to protect Lily from public scrutiny. But then there's Daniel Romalotti, Lily's longtime friend and on-again, off-again confidant, who recently returned to Genoa City with his own baggage involving Heather and Lucy. And if Daniel turns out to be the father, the revelation would not only disrupt his renewed commitment to Heather but also thrust him into a parenting role that complicates his entire family dynamic, leaving Heather furious, Lucy confused, and Phyllis inevitably inserting herself into the mix with her trademark manipulative intensity, all of which could leave Lily questioning whether her pregnancy is a blessing or a curse. However, the wild card that no one can ignore is Nate Hastings, because his reputation for betrayal, ambition, and charm has made him both irresistible and dangerous. And if Lily shared even a fleeting moment of passion with Nate, the fallout would be catastrophic for the Winters family, igniting Devon's fury, Elena's heartbreak, and Victor's likely exploitation of the situation for corporate leverage. Because we all know that in Genoa City, no personal revelation remains personal for long. It always spills into the boardrooms, the family estates, and the gossip mill at society, creating ripple effects that change alliances forever, which is why Lily's announcement feels less like a private confession and more like the opening act of a sprawling saga that could dominate storylines for months, perhaps years. And yet, what makes this storyline so compelling is not simply the question of biology but the deeper thematic resonance it carries, because Lily, after everything she's endured, cancer, the death of Drew, Neil's tragic passing, Cain's betrayals, Hillary's demise, her own imprisonment, the struggles of balancing her professional leadership with her personal identity, finally finds herself staring at a crossroads that could either offer her a fresh start and renewed purpose or drag her back into cycles of heartbreak and betrayal that she has fought so hard to escape, meaning that this baby is more than a baby. It is a symbol of Lily's resilience, her vulnerability, and her ongoing search for a life defined not by loss but by love, which is why the entire canvas of Genoa City is invested in the answer to that one haunting question: who is the father? Because depending on that answer, the landscape of relationships, businesses, and family feuds will be rewritten, perhaps permanently. Imagine if Cain is the father. The Ashby Winters family saga reignites with intensity, bringing Charlie and Matty back into the fold, forcing them to process whether their fractured family is being rebuilt or manipulated yet again, and drawing Lily into another round of difficult choices about forgiveness and trust. Imagine if Billy is the father, the Abbott Winters Chancellor empires collide in chaos, as Jill, Jack, and Devon all weigh in, while Chelsea potentially relapses under the pressure of betrayal and loss, creating emotional shockwaves that could devastate Connor and Johnny, who have already endured enough instability in their young lives. Imagine if Daniel is the father. Phyllis seizes the opportunity to vilify Lily, Heather may leave Daniel once more, and Lucy is thrust into a confusing family triangle where her loyalty is divided between her mother and her father's new reality, while Lily must contend with a Phyllis-driven smear campaign that could destroy her career. And imagine if Nate is the father. Devon disowns him permanently, Victor manipulates him into choosing Newman over Winters, Elena collapses emotionally after her sacrifices are once again betrayed, and Lily becomes the center of an intergenerational feud that could permanently scar the Winters family legacy, with Jill, Victor, and Nikki all weighing in for their own reasons, turning Lily's womb into a metaphorical battlefield for power, revenge, and legacy. What is certain is that Lily's shocking pregnancy announcement has not only destabilized her personal identity but also destabilized the entire balance of power in Genoa City, because no matter who the father is, someone will lose, someone will rage, someone will seek revenge, and someone will inevitably exploit the situation for gain, ensuring that this storyline remains one of the most dramatic and emotionally charged arcs The Young and the Restless has dared to attempt in years, reminding us that in a town where secrets never stay buried, love rarely stays pure, and family ties are as much a weapon as they are a comfort. Lily Winter's journey is about to take a turn that will test her in ways she never imagined, and fans are left with bated breath, speculating endlessly, arguing passionately, and preparing themselves for the explosion of truth that will shake Genoa City to its core. Because while pregnancies on soaps are nothing new, this one feels monumental, destined not only to define Lily's future but to redefine the landscape of love, loyalty, betrayal, and power for everyone connected to her, which is why this moment, this announcement, and this mystery of paternity will linger in the hearts and minds of viewers long after the final reveal. Because in the world of daytime drama, sometimes the most intimate secrets become the most earth-shattering stories of all. The aftermath of Lily's pregnancy announcement spreads through Genoa City like wildfire, and the more people hear about it, the more speculation grows, because this is not just a personal situation. It's a scandal that could alter alliances, businesses, and families across town. To understand the gravity of the situation, one has to consider each potential father and the ripple effects his involvement would cause. And the deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes that Lily's life is on the brink of absolute transformation, with no safe or easy outcome waiting at the end of this journey. First, let's look closely at Cain Ashby, the man who has defined so much of Lily's adult life. Cain is not just her ex-husband. He is the father of her twins, Charlie and Matty, the man who once swept her off her feet with his charm and dedication, and also the man who broke her heart repeatedly with lies, infidelity, and dangerous secrets. If Cain is revealed to be the father of Lily's unborn child, then Genoa City would immediately be plunged into a mixture of outrage and fascination. For Cain, it would feel like a chance at redemption, a way to repair the damage he has done and prove that he and Lily are meant to be together after all, despite the endless chaos of their past. He would likely pursue Lily with renewed vigor, insisting that fate has brought them back to this place for a reason. But Lily, torn between the lingering love she once felt and the pain of betrayal she can't forget, would be forced to confront whether she wants to give Cain another chance or break the cycle once and for all. Charlie and Matty would be caught in the middle, angry, confused, and afraid that their parents are doomed to repeat history, unable to move forward, while Devon would likely be furious at the idea of Kane re-entering Lily's life in such a permanent way. Add to this Jill Abbott, who has always had a soft spot for Kane, and you have a recipe for disaster, because Jill would absolutely push Lily toward reconciliation, arguing that Kane is flawed but committed, and that family is worth fighting for, even as everyone else warns Lily to protect herself from being hurt yet again. This scenario would reignite the Winters Ashby saga in a big way, pulling in old characters, reopening old wounds, and giving the writers endless material to explore questions of forgiveness, legacy, and whether love can survive betrayal. But what if the father is Billy Abbott? This is perhaps the most scandalous and explosive possibility, because Billy has a reputation for reckless passion and self-sabotage, and pairing him with Lily in this way would ignite chaos across multiple families. Their history is undeniable. When they worked side by side at Chancellor Winters, their chemistry was obvious, their connection deep, and for a time it looked like they could become a true power couple. But Billy's inability to stay grounded, his constant struggle with gambling, self-doubt, and destructive choices, left their romance on shaky ground. And now if he is the father of Lily's baby, those unresolved feelings will explode into the forefront. Billy would likely be thrilled in the beginning, declaring that this baby is his chance to finally get something right in life, his chance to prove he can be a stable, loving father and partner. But the Abbotts would react very differently. Jack would be concerned, worried that Billy is biting off more than he can handle, while Jill would be torn, pleased that Billy is tied to a strong, capable woman like Lily, but worried about the impact this could have on Chancellor Winters, where business rivalries already run high. Meanwhile, Chelsea would be shattered. After building a fragile but hopeful relationship with Billy, after struggling through her own emotional crises, she would feel blindsided, betrayed, and abandoned. And the fallout could undo all the progress she has made in her healing journey. Connor, too, would suffer. Already traumatized by his parents' struggles, the addition of another half-sibling and another fractured romance would destabilize his world further, perhaps even sending him into a spiral that neither Adam nor Chelsea could control. For Lily, this scenario would be devastating because while she might still love Billy in some way, she knows his flaws better than anyone, and the idea of tying herself to him for life, of raising a child with a man who cannot seem to control his impulses, would terrify her. Yet there would also be a pull, a hope that maybe, just maybe, this baby could anchor Billy in a way nothing else has, which would create deep conflict in Lily's heart and keep fans glued to the screen. Now, consider Daniel Romalotti. Daniel and Lily share a history that goes all the way back to their teenage years, when they were young lovers navigating first heartbreaks, reckless choices, and the heavy hand of parental influence. They have always shared an unshakable bond, and when Daniel returned to Genoa City recently, it was obvious that the spark between them still existed, even as he worked to repair things with Heather and reconnect with his daughter Lucy. If Daniel is the father of Lily's baby, the consequences would be seismic. For one, Heather would be livid. After working so hard to rebuild her family with Daniel, she would see Lily as a threat who destroyed everything, and she would not hesitate to fight back, both legally and emotionally. Lucy, too, would be thrown into turmoil. Already caught in the middle of her parents' complicated relationship, the idea of a new sibling, born from her father's relationship with another woman, would confuse and perhaps even embitter her. Phyllis Summers, Daniel's mother, would seize on the situation immediately, not only to protect her son but also to attack Lily, whom she has never fully trusted, and Phyllis' involvement would escalate things to an entirely new level of drama. Phyllis has always been a master manipulator, and in this scenario, she would surely try to paint Lily as reckless, irresponsible, and selfish, hoping to push Daniel back toward Heather or at least keep Lily away from him. For Daniel, the pregnancy would force a brutal choice: remain loyal to Heather and his daughter or embrace the possibility of building a future with Lily, who has always been his what-if. This would not only create a love triangle of epic proportions but also draw in Devon, who would have his own opinions about Lily's choices, and potentially Mariah and Tessa, who would inevitably find themselves trying to support Lily through the storm. This scenario would be ripe with emotional complexity, nostalgia, and the chance to revisit old dynamics while exploring how people grow, or fail to grow, when confronted with their past. And then there's Nate Hastings, perhaps the most controversial and unpredictable candidate of all. Nate has been at the center of scandal after scandal in recent years, betraying Elena, stabbing Devon in the back, and aligning himself with the Newman family in ways that alienated him from his roots. If Lily's baby turns out to be Nate's, the fallout would be catastrophic. Devon would see it as the ultimate betrayal, a wound that could permanently shatter his relationship with both Lily and Nate, leaving the Winters family fractured beyond repair. Elena, already weary of Nate's wandering eye and questionable loyalties, would be devastated, her trust in him destroyed once and for all. Victor Newman, on the other hand, would no doubt see this as an opportunity. If Nate is the father, Victor would waste no time in manipulating him into choosing the Newmans over the Winters, promising security and power in exchange for loyalty, essentially using Lily and the baby as leverage in his ongoing battles with Chancellor Winters. This would thrust Lily into a world of corporate warfare she never wanted, forcing her to defend not only her own dignity but also her family's legacy, while at the same time grappling with the fact that she has tied herself, at least biologically, to a man whose ambition and lack of moral compass are deeply troubling. Fans would watch in horror and fascination as Lily tries to hold her ground, protect her unborn child, and navigate a relationship with Nate that could swing from passion to destruction in the blink of an eye. And yet, despite all the chaos, there would also be undeniable intrigue, because Nate, for all his flaws, is charismatic, and the idea of Lily being drawn to him in a moment of weakness or vulnerability is not far-fetched, making this scenario both believable and explosive. What makes this pregnancy storyline so gripping is that no matter who the father turns out to be, the consequences will be massive. With Cain, it's about history, forgiveness, and the possibility of falling back into old patterns. With Billy, it's about scandal, instability, and the risk of chaos overtaking her life. With Daniel, it's about nostalgia, rekindled love, and the danger of destroying another family. With Nate, it's about betrayal, ambition, and the threat of corporate warfare. Each path offers rich storytelling potential, each one threatens to break Lily in a different way, and each one challenges her to decide what kind of future she wants for herself and her child. And through it all, the central theme emerges, Lily's resilience. After everything she has been through, after all the losses and betrayals, she is once again facing a life-altering moment, and how she navigates it will define not only her own future but also the legacy of the Winters family in Genoa City. Fans will speculate endlessly, argue passionately on social media, and wait with bated breath for the eventual reveal, because this is not just a pregnancy storyline. It is a character-defining moment, a crossroads where past, present, and future collide, and where the answer to one question, who is the father, will determine the fate of some of the most beloved and complex characters on The Young and the Restless. The question of Lily's baby's paternity cannot linger in speculation forever. Sooner or later, the truth has to come out, and in true Genoa City fashion, it won't happen quietly. The first step in this journey is Lily herself grappling with the uncertainty. She has always been someone who values honesty and integrity, someone who doesn't play games with people's lives, but now she finds herself holding onto a secret that could detonate entire families. Lily would likely go through a period of soul-searching, weighing whether to keep the identity of the father hidden until the child is born or to seek clarity right away with a paternity test. Of course, this being Genoa City, keeping things private would be impossible. Whispers spread quickly. Phyllis might overhear something at society, Jill might dig through Cain's sudden reappearance in Lily's orbit, or Victor might have his suspicions confirmed through his infamous network of investigators. The DNA test itself would become an event, both a practical tool and a weapon. Imagine Lily nervously scheduling the test, hoping for answers, only for one of the potential fathers to sabotage the process. Cain, desperate to reclaim his family, might bribe a lab technician to falsify results in his favor. Phyllis, determined to protect Daniel, might interfere to make sure he is ruled out. Nate, knowing Victor would use the child as leverage, might try to delay the truth as long as possible. And Billy, well, Billy might actually want the test to confirm what he already feels in his gut, seeing the baby as his last shot at redemption. The test results would hang over the entire city like a storm cloud, and when they are finally revealed, they would not solve the problem but create even more chaos. Let's say, for argument's sake, that the results are tampered with. Lily could be told one man is the father, only for the truth to come out later in a shocking twist, exposing the deception. This would not only stretch out the drama but also pit characters against each other in new, volatile ways.